Hi, everybody. Can you turn it down a little bit? Maggie, can you turn it down a little bit? Clearly, this is my favorite one of all of the paints. I keep having to refill. Hello, everybody. I'm going to attempt. Hola. Oh, I'm so glad you love to paint. So glad you're here. I'm going to paint sheep, I think. At least that's what I'm thinking. Sheep and in Santa hats. So I'm going to actually, I'm going to wet this up and I'm going to go, I need this light to be a little bit brighter. Hold on. Oof. Very bright, probably too bright. Let's drop that down a little bit. Not that bright. Nope. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to do a little bit of a background here. I don't usually do backgrounds a lot, but I'm going to try it. Just something simple. I'm going to zoom this out a little bit more. So, okay. So I'm just going to do a very loose little wiggly background there. Hi, Show and Tail. And I think I'm going to do it over here too. Might as well. Just a super loose little splash of color. And then I will dry it, and then I'm going to add some sheep. At least, admittedly, I can't tell you the last time I painted sheep, so hoping this goes well. And if it doesn't, well, it's fine too. Learning and figuring things out, you know? All right, I'm actually going to lift some of this out in the back. I want the top to be a little bit lighter than the bottom. Like it's a bigger distance away, I guess, like that foreground darkness, or it's a little bit darker in here and in here. And this is my little set of Funto watercolor books. So I'm just using it for practice right now. And then I'm going to add a little bit more darkness into this bottom here. And a little bit of darkness in here as well. And the goal in that is that I want to build up a little bit of a contrast background for when I do the sheep. Like I want the sheep to stand out on top of this background. And because sheep are generally pretty light, I want to make sure that they've got a contrast. So I'm throwing down this blue sky background and we'll paint the sheep over the top. I'm debating if I'm going to use marker for this or if I'm going to use paint. But my name is Christine. I am the creator behind Fluffy Pigeon Art. I paint, I crochet, and then my full-time job is I am a 6th grade math teacher. I work with 11 and 12-year-olds, and we learn all the things about how to do math in the real world. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit more blue in here. Just want it to be even a little bit brighter. It's looking almost like water. That's not really my intention, but we're just going to lay this down, darken it up a little bit more down here. And then I'm not super worried about the white over the top. Hi, how are you? I have not seen you in so long, my friend. I know you've been busy. I need this to be fully dry before I paint the white sheep over the top. All right, that's pretty good. Good enough anyways. I think I'm just going to use the white. Well, maybe we try it both ways and decide which way we like. So we'll use bleed proof white first. And I'm just going to do like a bit of a fluff over the top here. So we'll try it with this. And then let me see if I have, I'm sure I have an acrylic marker in here somewhere. Let me take a peek. I might just use my Funto ones because these are the closest ones to me right now. Okay. So this one, we'll try both ways. So we'll do the white background with the bleed proof white watercolor over the top, and then we'll do the white background, or we'll do the blue background with needs to be a little bit juicier. There we go. With the acrylic marker. Now you'll notice that I would say the transparency is pretty similar between the Funto acrylic marker and the bleed proof white. You do have to shake it a little bit though. Get the juices moving, you know? But I do think that you're going to have to layer a few times anyway.
I'm so good at this game.
So you can kind of see I'm layering a little bit over the top. And then my sheep is definitely going to have black face with black legs. I definitely want that for my sheep. So we've got our two little baubles done in two different ways. I'm going to use watercolor for this one, and we're going to use acrylic for this one. So I'm going to go smaller on the brush. Thanks for the follow. Let me unpin this. I'll go back to my paints so you guys can see which paints I'm using today. And I'm going to go in here. I'm going to grab some black. And then this isn't super dry yet, but I am going to do the legs. Kind of like that. And then I'll do the same thing over here with the acrylic marker. So we're doing basically the same composition on both sides. Obviously, this feels a little easier with the marker because you're just kind of coloring it in. But I do think that I need to do another layer of the white over this acrylic. Otherwise, it's looking a little bit too transparent for me. Okay. And I'm just giving them a little bit more fluff right there. And then I'll do the same thing with that one. Yeah, it's getting there. I'm gonna give these guys Santa hats because this was, my theme this week. And then someone said I should try and do a sheep, and I think that was a really cute idea. So we'll try that. So I'm gonna go back in over this with that bleed proof white. You can see it's definitely got a bit more thickness, but I'm gonna do the same kind of fluffy line work around like I did over here. But it definitely looks more opaque with the bleed proof white. I think it's just a matter of what is your comfort? Are you more comfortable with a brush or a marker? I would imagine most people are comfortable with a marker to start, but either way, it's totally okay. I'm going to dry both of these and then I'm going to start working on their faces. Because I don't want to go in with the face, and the face is definitely going to go in the puffy area. And I don't want it to bleed everywhere when I start doing that. And even this, I might consider doing another layer there if I really, really wanted to, but I think I'm going to leave it. And this heat gun is it's in my shop. It is a Chandler tool heat gun. I use it to make art more efficient and accessible to me because I need to move quickly. I need to create, but I need to create in a quick fashion. So is this dry? Nope. I need to see touch test. Not dry enough. So I'm going to hit it up again. All right. All right, so now we're gonna go in and we're gonna add some facial details. So I'm gonna use my Funto markers. These are the ones where you can replace the ink cartridge. So if you're interested in having markers that are a bit more earth friendly, these are definitely the ones I like to use most. And they're pretty affordable too. I think they're only, let me just check to make sure. They range from $15.99 to $36.99. I have the 48 color, which is $29.99, and the 30 color is $15. I think the 30 color is honestly just fine. You can get everything you want in that. And then, of course, they have an 80 color, which if you're really into acrylic markers, maybe that one's for you. So this is dry. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create kind of this U shape. We're just going to paint in that little head, just like that. And then we're going to create its little ears. Look at how cute that is. And I'm going to do a Santa hat, but I don't know, maybe I won't do a Santa hat at all. Maybe I'll just decorate it with cute little lights. We'll just have to wait and see. Okay, so with this one, I'm going to use paint because I've been using paint for this whole thing. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'm just going to grab some black from my palette. This is dry now, so I'm going to go over this. I'm going to kind of do the same thing. Again, you need to have a little bit more control with this one. And then I'm going to go ahead and create its little ears like that. All right. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe do a little bit of, oops, I just fluffed down the bottom. I'm going to add a little bit of, I could do snow, but I think I'm just going to do a little bit of green on the bottom here. And a little bit of green on the bottom over here. Just in the loosest, lightest way. Use the side of my brush. Just remember your brush is not, it's not a pencil. You don't need to go like this to make everything that you paint. Use the side of your brush when it's appropriate.
I'm guessing that's a sheep.
Yeah, they're sheep.
Pretty sheep.
Thanks. All right. And then what I'm going to do is up here, I'm just going to blend this out a little bit more. This paper holds a lot. It feels almost like cardstock when it's like, when you're trying to like talk about like, look how thick that paper is. And this is cold press watercolor paper.
I have an idea of what you could do.
Oh yeah?
I think you could make a sheep with the owner right next to it.
I could.
And giving it a little bit. And then
you have too much trust in my ability to draw people. My ability to draw people is not as good as my ability to draw animals.
You can try that.
I could, but I don't really want to right now. But thanks for the advice. So if you're new here, my kids like to come in and be my little cheerleaders and give me suggestions. And I love to take their suggestions, and I love that I have them to cheer me on. Okay. And then I'm going to go into, let's see, nope, that's still wet. I need to hit that with a bit more heat. The acrylic marker is already dry on that side. Watercolor does take a little bit longer. And I'm definitely sure I'm going to use a Santa hat on this one, but let's start with the red marker on that. So let me grab my acrylics again. And looking at my set, so I have the 48, and then here's how this works. You get one on each side, okay? And then these pop open, and you can replace the ink cartridges with new inks when it's out. So it's a little bit more earth-friendly rather than replacing your marker every time it goes bad. You can just replace the cartridge. Okay, so we're going to give it, we're just going to give this guy a little hat, a little Santa hat. Because if you've been following anything in my feed, oh, hi, April. You will know that I have been making Santa hats come to life with all sorts of things. Okay, so let's do this here. Definitely put some white fluff under that. We're just going to paint right over that watercolor with this marker. And then we'll give it some puff as well. And I'll probably do a little bit of layer there. So I'll probably go back in over that red. Just simple little hats on the sheep. I'm going to go back into this as well and puff up some spots with a little bit more white. Like that. And then I'm going to go back in here again, like that. And then we've got a little sheepy with a Santa hat. And then we're going to do the same thing over here, but we're going to try and do it with some watercolor. But I'm going to use a different medium for this. Actually going to use crayon. So the crayons that I use are silky crayons. They are considered a watercolor medium. Thank you so much for the Go Popular. I appreciate you, April. As always, you're the best. These crayons are child-friendly, non-toxic, and really great to smush on your paper. So I'll pin that. Oops, I'm going to pin that for you. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to pull out a red. So I might just go with this dark red. Probably grab a pink, this peachy pink, which I love to do. And then I also have a white, but I might just stick with the bleed proof white on the little ruffles, kind of like what I did with most of this. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw in the hat. And I'm just going to let that watercolor like kind of create some shape and interest. And then I may still go back in with water over the top, but I don't have to. So I'm just going to go in here. You're going to see it's much more textured, but it is still considered watercolor. So if you're timid about using actual paint over the top of something, this is a great option. So you can see I'm softening this all up with my paintbrush. And then I would go back in over the top with the bleed proof white. Now I just have to be really careful. This is pretty wet. So I'm going to do just the puff on top right now. Because if I go too crazy, it will bleed with the other parts. And I don't really want that to happen. Like this over here is already dry, but I want that to be less transparent. Like if you look at it, you can kind of see the bleed through on that. So I'm going to go back in with my Funto markers. Again, I'm constantly switching back and forth between art supplies. So if you have any questions about anything, just let me know. And then I'm going to go flip this over because these are two colors. Pull the top off of this guy. Is this? Oh, I just realized it was not fully screwed on. Okay, there we go. And then I'm just going to go in here, build up a little bit of extra darkness and shadow because it's like just a little bit of a different tone there, if you can see that. And then I'll go back in with my white as well and use this to kind of build up those colors and tones and all the fun things. Make sure I'm pinning that for everybody. Okay. And then I'm just going to go in here and create kind of those puffs again. It is picking up some of the red paint up here, but I don't mind it. It actually looks a little bit different from what's going on down here. Okay. And then coming back over here, I'm going to build this up again too. So there's a lot of like build up. Like I generally don't go down with one color to start. I usually have to layer it multiple times so that it does not lose its vibrancy and interest. And you don't have to repaint everything. Sometimes you can go in and just paint like these kind of circle shapes over the top to make it look puffy. And then you can go around the outside. You could use marker and just create some real interesting little puffy around there too. Okay. So I'm going to hit this both. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to go in here one more time with this green. I'm going to raise it a little bit closer to that blue. Because look at how dull that is after I put it in. So this is where that second contrasting layer kind of comes in and saves the day a little bit. And it will probably still be a little bit dull. And I can still go back in and play with that a little bit more. Okay, I'm gonna zoom this out. Okay. Oh, aren't they cute? And it's fun to see how different they look, right? That's still wet. So I'm gonna hit that with some heat, and then I'm gonna put the puff band on that hat as well. But I just wanted you to see kind of the difference between a acrylic marker painting and a watercolor marker or a watercolor painting. This is all watercolor media on this side, and this is acrylic and watercolor on this side. And just seeing how you go into the same illustration a little bit differently. Okay. And there's lots of goodies in my shop that you guys can check out. I'm happy to answer any questions about any of them. All right, let's go back into the hat and let's use this bleed proof white again. And we're just gonna add that little band. See how that's still wet? See how that bled? I gotta fix that. Hold on, guys. This is what it's all about, though. It's not perfect every time. It's not always easy. I know a lot of you think that we artists that come on here and do this stuff make it look easy. Well, that's the goal, especially when we're posting videos. The goal is to make it look easy enough for you to want to try it. But it's not always easy, and it doesn't always go down as smoothly as we want it to the first time. So don't ever feel bad about, struggling or fighting or not getting it to look the way other people get it to look. I do work with oil pastels sometimes, yes. Though I do prefer these more than oil pastels, mostly because they're not as messy and they don't lift as much off the page. Like when this dries, and I'm going to probably put more in here. When this dries, it does not like attack the other page with more oil pastel kind of things. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if I did oil pastel on any one of these pages and closed the book, if I don't put like a fixative over the top, the oil pastels will transfer to the other page because it takes oil so much longer to dry. Whereas when you're using watercolor, it's a much faster process. And this, while it has some of the same features as oil pastels, dries much quicker and then does not transfer over to the other page. Does that answer your question? I absolutely do. In fact, I have some on my desk right here. See, I have these. And these are from the Meeden, what do you call it? Advent calendar. So I definitely play with them. I don't think Meeden's oil pastels are currently available in TikTok shop. I believe they're all sold out. But if you get the Meeden Advent calendar, you can get this little set, which is actually, I'll show you. It's green, red, silver, gold, and white. And I think this black, it's just regular black. I don't think it's sparkly or anything, but those are the colors that you would get. They're pretty nice. They're fun. But generally I work with watercolor for the most part. Okay, so mostly dry. Let's go in and add some facial features. And I'm just gonna do that with this black pencil. I do wanna make sure everything's dry. So I think I'm just gonna start with this guy over on this side. We're gonna see, I think I'm just gonna do like eyeballs kind of poking out to the side and then adding a highlight maybe, because it's gonna be real hard to see it kind of on the inside of his face because it's so dark. So if I do this on either side and then kind of do like that down that way, can you kind of see it? Can you kind of see it? It's kind of there. And then I would do the same over here with this guy. But again, because this is acrylic, it's that much harder to see. I might have to go with some white crayon or white pencil over the top. Let me see what I have, if I can make that work. I'm going to close this out. So even like here, I don't know if that's really doing the trick. Hold on, maybe I'll just use the oil pastels. Or, I do really want a pencil. Hold on, I've got one. I've got a Stabilo all pencil. We'll use this one and see how that looks. I just want it to be a little thinner, and sometimes that's a little harder to do. There we go. I can kind of see the mouth on that one. And I'll add a little bit of a highlight in there. And then here as well. And then and then you can kind of see the nose. And you can kind of see the eyes a little bit better. You're going to see it better on this one because it's watercolor, so there is some transparency in the face, whereas this one is the acrylic face, so you're just not going to get the transparency as well. But it's still there. You can still kind of see it. Oof. Here we go. And then on the inside of this guy, I'm probably going to use some more pencil. I might use the crayon first to create a little bit more interest on this guy's little puffy body. So I think I'm going to start with this blue. These are the crayons that I like so much. What else? There is a gray in here. Well, let's pull the gray just in case. And then probably we'll pull the white. I don't know if we're going to use the white, but we'll pull it and we'll see how it looks. But again, thanks for coming, everybody. I love hanging out with you and creating. So I'm going to go in here and just kind of like create these like little circle bits and then use my finger to kind of blend them out a little bit. Just looks a little bit more interesting. Just for the puffy part of him, right? Because he's super puffy. I'm going to do it on this side too, because why not? And we'll see how it looks over the acrylic. You can actually see it blends better over the acrylic, which could be but good or bad. And then we'll put in some gray. I think it's probably because the surface is smoother with the gray or with the acrylic marker, so you can probably move things around a little bit more. Whereas this is absolutely a bit more textured on this side. Okay. And then we'll go back in and add a little bit more white because this definitely feels like the gray is taking over a little bit. Okay. And then in here too. And then I'm going to grab my pencil. We're going to make a few more little lines here. Now this is where I'm going to kind of sharpen up the illustration a little bit. I start to draw like little clouds around the sheep. And you could do this with colored pencil. You can do it with acrylics. I like just regular watercolor pencil for this. I'm also going to use it for the hat. Look how cute that sheep is right now. I'm kind of in love with him. Look at how cutie he is. Oh my God, so cute. And you can see like it does feel smoother going over because of this like plasticky acrylic texture. And then we'll do the hat up here too. I'm going to just sharpen up these legs a little bit more, make them a little darker underneath. And then as far as the grass goes, I could use some of this. Or I could use some acrylic marker. These are the Meeden ones. I almost always blend this stuff with my finger. I just prefer it to look a little bit softer and less painterly. And then just blend it all out like that. Oof. This needs a few more pencil bits. And then look how cute these little sheepies are. I think this one's my favorite. Though that would make sense. It is the watercolor version. That would make sense. I can imagine. Isn't it so cute, Deborah? Thank you so much. And then I've decided that before I go, because I'm not sure I'm going to stay on here super long today, I think I'm going to try and do a pigeon with a hat, a Santa hat, because you're at the Fluffy Pigeon Art Station, so you guys should definitely see me paint a pigeon. I think I'm going to move away from this. I want a bigger space though, so I think I'm going to switch over to, let's see, I think I might use my Meeden watercolor papers, the ones that look like this, or the postcard paper. But I'm going to move these guys off to the side for a little bit and just let them hang out. Okay, so I'm actually going to start with the pigeon. So we're going to start with the pigeons that I just generally love to paint are the ones with the purple and blue in the neck and head and the orange little eyes. So we'll just kind of see how that goes. I'm going to start off with this blue-white color, and then we'll build it up that way. I'm debating if I want this frame. I don't think I do. I'm just going to flip it over. Okay. Thank you, friend. All right. So let's go in here. We're just going to create the pigeon shape, like the whole profile. Okay. So we're just going to not worry about any details in here. We're just going to go down with this very light blue color. And I'm just going to do the body first. I'm not going to do the feet. I'll do like the feet sticking out. But then we're going to come up here this way. And I'm just going to fill all of this in. Apparently I have something extra on my brush here, but that's okay. I'm just going to move that around. I'm not super worried about that. Okay. I'm going to pull this up, and then we're going to have the beak. The beak's probably going to be some sort of black, but in the meantime, I'm just going to keep going with this blue just to create the shapes that I want. So we're going to have the little pigeon nose kind of pop down like that. And actually, I feel like this should be a little bit longer. So let's kind of pull this down here too. Okay. And then we'll pull this body down. Their bodies are a little bit longer than I think what I initially did. So we'll pull that up. We'll paint that down. Oh, Haley, it's okay if you need help. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. And then we'll pull these little leggies out. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is with this shape, I'm going to start throwing in some of those colors that I want. So I think I'm going to try. I'm going to definitely mix. I've got over here, this is like a phthalo blue. And I don't want it to be that blue, so I'm going to add some green into that. That's way too green now, but I'm going to keep kind of mixing back and forth until I can get like this teal turquoise kind of blue. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of drop a little bit in here and pull some of it down, kind of like that. And then I'm going to do it with the purple as well. So I'm going to grab some of this purple up here. And I'll go ahead. I'm not even using these right now. Hi, Babs. I'm going to pull this one in. These are the paints I'm using. I'm going to add a little bit of purple kind of underneath here. Whoa, that went too crazy. Too crazy. Come back. Come back. Come back to me. I'm going to pull this down here a little bit. There we go. All right, that got a little out of control, guys, but we're making it work. We're making it work. Just going to add a little bit more blue in there. Okay. So you've kind of got like that collar of color happening right in there. The beak is going to be darker in tone. So I'm just going to add a little bit of black at the tip and hopefully it won't bleed everywhere, just a little bit. And then the wing, which the wing is going to be here, right in this area. This is kind of the booty tail area. We're going to basically create some of that black and darker tones in here too. This is kind of where the tip of the wing kind of is a little dark, and so is the tip down here, like the bottom feather is also a little dark as well. Oh, I'm so glad to see you, Cricket. Oh, I'm excited, guys. I don't paint pigeons live very much. They're pretty intimidating. So I'm happy to do it though. Okay. I am going to try and pull this out. So we've got that feather there. And then I'm just going to kind of spread this guy out a little bit more, kind of underneath that feather. So there's this like darkness in here. The belly is still a little bit gray. So I'm definitely going to kind of keep trying to like build up some of this color underneath that feather. And then also kind of in the butt or the tail feathers of the bottom of the bird. And then still kind of up in here a little bit. So lots of very loose, like hoping that I have control over this piece and that it's not completely out of control. So like up here, I want this to be a pretty light head. So I'm going to try and pick up some of that blue because I don't want it to go completely out of control. But you can see like there's a little bit of bleed here in the head. So I'm just going to spread that paint around a little bit. Down in here, I'm going to put a little bit of that there. I'm going to spread this out just a little. And then down here, we're going to spread that out a little bit more. And then I'm going to start to get some of those feet tones. So I think I'm going to keep the feet a little bit yellow-orange here. So I'm sorry if I'm kind of crossing over here. I have to try and keep these feet a little bit flat. Like that. So you get the little feet. Maybe I'll have another one kind of, well, do that. Okay, look how cute the little feet are. That's so funny. And then I want the eyeball to be orange. So I'm going to put a little bit of orange right there where that eyeball is going to go. All right, I want, so you can see that this is spreading again. I'm going to try and pull that back. It's not that it can't, but I do want the head to be a little bit lighter. And I want this to be a bit more teal. So I'm going to try and pull that back in there again. And you can see the eye is like blending a little bit, and that's okay. Okay, so I'm going to hit this with some heat. Look at how beautiful some of this spread already is, kind of in the painting. And then we're going to add some detail work over this as well. Thank you so much, Babs. And everything I'm using right now to paint this pigeon is Meeden, except for the heat gun right now. The paints are Meeden, the brush is Meeden, the paper is Meeden. So if you're curious about any of that, feel free to ask. And if I don't know the answer, I can find out for you. The Meeden people are very kind and very helpful. Okay, so I'm going to come back in here. I want to build up a little bit more of that teal color. I'm going to grab a little more green in there. And just keep blending until you get the colors that you want. I don't have the ratios for you. I don't usually have a perfect palette. I work with what feels right. And that's not always the best method, but it's the best method for me if I'm going to keep doing what I do. Okay. So I'm going to lift that out. That's a little bit darker than I want. So I'm going to lift some of that out. And you can see it's still spread up here a little bit. So I'm going to see if I can pull that back a little bit or if I just need to spread out that color. Looks like I just need to spread it out a little bit. And then I'm going to go back in with that purple as well. And I'm going to drop some of that purple down in here. Okay. And I'm just going to spread that out a little bit with some water like that. Okay. So let me go in and do some detail on these leaves because, or not these leaves, the feathers, because these have very distinct marks to them. So I'm just going to kind of go in here and kind of build in some of these. I'm going to be a little haphazard here and just kind of try and like very loosely paint over some of those areas. And then I'm going to just do some real quick line work on that feather. I don't know why I keep saying leaves. And then I'm going to do a little bit more depth underneath that feather right there, just to kind of make that the obvious shape kind of come a little bit more to life. And if it's too much, I'll just lift it up and out a little bit. I do want the top of this to not be super dark, but I do want it to be distinctly a little bit different from everything else. And I'm going to add a little bit more depth up here as well so that it doesn't look super different from everything else. And thank you so much for all of the hearts and the likes. I appreciate it very, very much. I'm going to kind of put this in over the feet to kind of build up some of those feathers a little bit. And then even up in here, this is pretty. I want to lighten this up a little bit. So I'm going to add a little bit of water. I'm going to try and build up some of that feather areas in here as well. And even up over the head, just maybe a little bit lighter, not so dark. I have to be careful sometimes when I do this because I get more into the habit of making fur than feathers, and I don't really want that either. So I'm just trying to find a balance. Okay. This is a very fluffy pigeon. Oh, thank you, friend. It's very fluffy. I'm going to add a bit more tone here. I don't want this to be too white. I want it to be light, but I don't want it to be super duper light. Okay. I want it to kind of fluff out. So this is your official fluffy pigeon live. It's the first time I've done this. So let me go in here and hit it with some heat. He is well loved. He is. Okay. I think what I'm going to do next is start to go in with some pencil. I want some sharper definition. So I'm just going to sharpen up my pencil here, and then I'm going to use it for certain bits and spots, just to bring certain things out that I don't feel like I can do as well with the brush strokes. So I think right about here. And then down in here, I want to kind of pull that in. And then the eyeball is going to be in here with a little bit of the orange ring to it. So I do have to expand that out a little bit. I'm just going to do that now. And then up here, I'm going to build that little heart over the nose. Oops, I'm smushing a little bit of paint on here with my wet hands. Okay. And then up in here, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for all of the hearts. I appreciate you all very much. I'm going to darken this eyeball over here and then definitely over here as well. Oh, thank you so much for the gifts. I absolutely can. Absolutely. Because I don't have any sound on this. You're just listening to my kids more than anything. Let me go in. I was going to do a Santa hat, but I just don't know if I'm feeling the Santa hat right now. I'm afraid it would ruin it. What do you think? Should I do a Santa hat on it? Because I've been doing so many. All right. And now I'm using the crayons. I'm going to use the crayons to give it a bit more pop because I just like using them. Okay. You think I should do a Santa hat? It is the holidays. Okay. Let me pin these crayons. Is Dad making good food?
I don't know.
You don't know, but it smells good, so it must be good.
I asked him if he was making burgers.
No, not making burgers. Dad's making some good food, guys. Okay. And I'm just throwing this in here because why not? And then I'll go in with some more lights and grays.
I feel like he's making a sandwich. He just isn't saying if he is or not.
No, he doesn't want to give away his magic power. Okay, let's go in here. Thank you. No. Let's go in here. I definitely want to make that eyeball pop even more than it already is. Not decided how I'm going to do that yet. I might use a pencil here. Hold on. Definitely going to give it a highlight too, but I'm going to go into this eyeball and do a little bit of coloring. There we go. The eyeball's a little bit more poppy. I also want to go into this top. Oh, hi, kitten. Here. That's not enough. I'm going in with my brush, guys. Wish me luck. I want this to be a little bit lighter. The only thing is I have the pencil on here and it can bleed, so I have to be super duper careful. Okay. Oh, thanks, Jamie. It's looking really like fluffy, which actually I'm very excited about. I'm going to go up here and use the bleed proof white in a few spots over the top. Just to give it a few like little feathery highlights. I don't want to overdo it. Oop, that's a little bit overdone. Okay. And then maybe a little bit in the belly a little bit. Okay. Leave it as it is. I'm feeling like I should leave it as it is too. Or maybe like paint a hat separately and just lay it on top. Probably not right now though. I'm going to use a few more crayons on this. Let me see. This is the black. Yeah, that's good. I'm going to go in here and add a little bit of darkness in there just to give it some shadow textures. And even in here a little bit. And by the toes. And then we'll go to the feet. Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. Let's give it some little feet, little claws for its little toes. Oh my gosh, it's cute. I didn't ruin it. I'm so proud of myself. I'm going to go in over this a few more times. I definitely want to put a highlight in the eyeball. Yes. You never know going in sometimes if that's going to work. Giving it its little knuckles. I'm going to sharpen one more time, and then I think it'll be pretty close to done. There's something else that it needs that I can't figure out. I have not entirely figured out what it is yet. Maybe a little bit of shadow in here. It's in the head. Like, I feel like the head needs a little bit more contrast. But I'm wondering if doing that was enough. Maybe making the beak a little bit wider there. Yeah, I like that a little bit more. And then I think that's pretty much done, guys. I don't think I should really do much more to that. Can you tell me later? Tell me later. What? Is that a rash? Oh, that stinks. It might be because of the shot. Is that where you got your shot?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. Absolutely. What do you think, guys? Does it need anything else? Or do I leave it? I know there's like always a moment of like, just leave it. Don't touch it anymore. That feels a little bit better. Thank you, guys. Oh my gosh, you got me so close to 20K. You guys are the best. This has turned out cute. I would totally save this one and turn it into a sticker, I think. Let's add a little bit more of the pencil marks here. Tomorrow is going to be bonkers for me. My daughter has a musical preview that she's performing at. My other daughter has gymnastics this weekend, and I have to go volunteer tomorrow. And then we're supposed to have a family get together after that. I just don't know if I can do it all. My son has a counseling appointment. My daughter also has a chiropractic appointment. I am just beyond spent just thinking about it, you know? Yay! Thank you so much. I know the feet are so cute. They're so cute. I love them. I'm going to add a little bit of this color in there. I don't really think it needs it though. I think it's pretty good. The only thing is the outside of it is a little bit messy. But once I have like clean water, I could potentially brush that out with a magic eraser. So that's good. Thank you so much. I love all the little SpongeBobs. They're super duper cute. They're super duper duper cute. So we got our pigeon, which I may or may not add a Santa hat to. I think I'm going to leave it for right now. Maybe add a Santa hat another time. And then, of course, we did our little sheep with the Santa hats, which was very cute and fun. A mistletoe for him to put above? Maybe. I definitely think I should do another one at some point. Oh, for him to put above? Maybe. I definitely think I should do another one at some point. I do want to. Every once in a while, you look at something and you're like, what's happening there? What's happening? And sometimes just little marks can make all the difference. Yeah, okay. No more touchy, Christine. No more touchy. But look at him. Oh, friends, we did it. Thank you so much for all of the hearts and likes. He's good. I might just leave him. I think I'm just going to leave him for right now. I know, Babs. Isn't he great? I don't paint birds very much. They're very intimidating, which is ironic, I know, because the name of my account is Fluffy Pigeon. But I just don't paint them very much. Like they're so detailed. Their feathers have so much detail, and I get a little, definitely a little intimidated. I've painted them before, but I don't paint them often. So it's nice to have been able to sit down without too much thought and just make him from scratch. Definitely, definitely. I definitely could see a Santa hat on him, but I don't think I'm going to do that today. I think it might ruin it, at least for right now. Maybe I'll just. He is. He kind of is. So I have this one. This one I painted digitally, which just felt different because I could like really play with all of the textures and stuff and erase and redo a bajillion times over. But like this one just feels so like loose and fun, and I don't know. They both have very different characters for sure. For sure. And I think after this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to screen cap him and definitely post him. Potentially, I could put him as my new one, but I don't know. I think he's very cute and I would keep him forever for sure. Fluffy, right. Absolutely, Babs. Absolutely. All right, friends, I'm going to scoot. I will try and be back tomorrow. If I am, it'll be early. Maybe late. I don't know. I have no idea. I will try and be back. I should be back on Sunday for sure. I'm hoping to have time on Sunday, but I'm definitely going to rest a little whenever I can. So, but you guys are the best. I love and adore you. And if you have any questions about any of the supplies we used, don't forget we used these are the Jupiter crayons that I just used as like the extra coloring to kind of pop it out a little bit. I used Stabilo All Pencil for the black line work around the outside. I used meat and paints. I used the tube meat and paints for most of my paintings today. So I used them for this. And I re-squeezed for my green because I knew I was running low. And then I used watercolor postcards from Eden. I don't like using the ones with the frames, but I do like the size of the paper on them. So that one's pretty nice. So I used that. And then I also used today my Funto sketchbook. So these are the ones that come in packs of 2. And they're great for travel. And you can get them for, I think it's like $13 for 2 of them, which is great. Oh, the color blending with the crayons. That is top notch, my friend. I love the crayon color blending. Like, look at this one. Like, I did this one earlier in the weekend, I want to say, last weekend. And look at all the color blending on that. And that's all of those crayons over top of watercolor. And they're not like, I don't know why I just pinned that. They're not crazy expensive either. The last time I checked, the original price on them is wild. Like, I've never seen anyone spend the original price on them. But if you look at the price that's there right now, you could get a set of 12 for $14. You could get a set of 36 for $16. Why wouldn't you just get the 36 if you're going to get it? Besides, it has more yellow. I use them all the time. They're my favorite staple on my art desk. They're always right here. Always have them handy. Those and the glitter pens. But I did not feel like glitter penning tonight. I did not think the glitter pens were necessary. Maybe another day. But yeah, I think you really can't go wrong with them. And the nice part is when you do close your books, they don't, unlike oil pastels, because they do dry quickly, they're not going to give you too much trouble. So like, here's the Santa hats that I did. You can see all of the texture that I added over the watercolor with those crayons, and none of it, like there's no marks on this side of the page. Like keeping it closed, I did not spray it. I didn't put anything on it. It's super protected in just being watercolor because it just dries naturally on its own in a way that's easier to work with. Like these ones, these have it too. Like you can kind of see where I used the crayon. I didn't blend it as much, but it did not blend over here at all. Like it's not on this page. So it's really safe for sketchbook work using those crayons. I'm trying to see if I have another one that I used that with. Not those. Definitely this one. I definitely used some of that crayon in with the chicken wings that I did. But like you could see the crayon marks in here and all the blending that I did, even here on the truck in those sections. You're gonna love them, Babs. Like I love them. I come on here and I tell you guys about the same materials that I use. Like I very rarely come on and tell you about new stuff because I just love the stuff that I love. And I'm going to promote that stuff more than anything because I love it and I think other people will love it too, you know? So I get it. I don't. I make a teeny tiny commission off of them, off of my lives or off of ads, but I don't sell them myself. So unless you're talking about my art, I do sell that sometimes, but I don't really have anything up to date in my Etsy shop because my paintings weren't selling very much. My stickers are though. So if you're interested in that, I am going to try and update them this weekend. If I don't, it will be after Christmas. I'll update the stickers because I have a lot of really great stickers that I've just done recently. So if you're interested in those, keep your eyeballs peeled for those because I definitely have some really cutie stickers like those. Do you guys remember the little girls that I made, the little fairy girls, like this one? I painted her and then had her turned into a sticker. And she's so cute. And I'm going to definitely update my shop with these little girls. So just keep your eyeballs peeled. I'm actually thinking of doing it with this too. If you guys saw this the other day, this live that I did the other day with these guys, I made these little Christmas spiders. And I'm thinking of turning them into either stickers or maybe like ACEO print cards. I don't know. But these were so fun. I had so much fun making these the other night. Yeah, the fairy girls. Yep, I made them all into stickers. So no, kitty. No drinking the water. That's not good for you. Sorry, guys. She's made an appearance. Hi. No, you cannot have it. No. Oh my gosh, your eyes are so gooey. Honey. I know. Aren't they so cute? Not her. I mean, she is cute, but these are the cute things I paint. I love this one. Someone told me to do this one, and I had to, and I don't regret it. And I love that we did the little sleigh on top too. So cute. The best. All right, my friends. I'm going to scoot. You guys got a pigeon out of me tonight. That is a special day indeed. That never happens. But now this is forever treasured and will forever be part of the pigeon regalia that I've created for my for my lives. All right, guys. Do you put wax seal? I can. I don't always, but I can. I use Dorland's wax medium. I use this, which is good. But I need to clean the edges of this first. I know you can't see it super well, but it's a little bit dirty on the sides. The other thing is too, I don't really like using Dorland's wax medium when I use these super pigmented pencils. It can smudge it a little bit. So I might end up using some sort of spray if it's better, if I'm going to save it. Honestly, the reality is I'll probably just end up scanning it and turning it into all sorts of different things that way. That seems to be the best way to save my art, quite honestly. So thank you, Jelly Belly. I appreciate that. Oh, thanks, Priscilla. It's good to see you. All right, I'm going to go. I'm going to get the cat away from my paints before she makes a mess because she's ready. Right, honey? Right? All right, guys. I will see you hopefully on Sunday. And we'll be back again. Maybe more. Well, we only have a few more weeks before reality is I've got one more week to hang out with you before I go on vacation. So you guys are the best. And I will hang out with you soon. Have a great night. Thanks for